ladies and gentlemen, delegates, dear friends. It is my great pleasure, after the moving opening of the cultural performance of this conference, and after the inspiring personal messages that we heard from Honorable President of Georgia, Mikhail Saakashvili, to speak on behalf of the United Nations Environment Program, that was very happy when the government of Georgia approached us that they wish to organize this Tbilisi+35 conference, that we could partner in preparation of the conference. And we are very happy to be here represented and to see that there is a very broad and high level representation of more than 100 governments, as well as all important stakeholders in the environmental education and education for sustainable development. So I would like to congratulate the Georgian government for organizing this landmark conference, which is one of the first ministerial level conferences that take place after the Rio+20, the United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development, and that is able to take stock with a reasonable distance from the Rio conference of what has been achieved in Rio in terms of the environmental education agenda and how to bring that forward in implementation. The conference marks the 35th anniversary of the Tbilisi Declaration, which was adopted at the first intergovernmental conference on environmental education here in Tbilisi, that was organized together with UNESCO and UNEP in October 1977. And then there were 66 countries represented. Today we see that we have more than 100 countries represented at this conference. The Tbilisi Declaration established a framework for formal and non-formal environmental education activities at the local, national and international levels, and provided fundamental principles for proposals in Agenda 21 and a set of other documents and global initiatives. The environmental education, coming even more into history, gained international recognition in 1972 with the UN Conference on Human Environment in Stockholm, Sweden, which called upon environmental education as the means to address the environmental issues worldwide. From there on, we see two parallel processes ongoing, from Stockholm to Rio, from Rio to Johannesburg, from Johannesburg again to Rio 2012, and in the regular cycle also of 10 years, the intergovernmental conferences on environmental education, starting in 1977 in Tbilisi, moving on to Moscow in 1987, Thessaloniki, Greece in 1997, and finally in Ahmedabad in India in 2007. So we see that this is an ongoing process that exists together with sustainable development and its review at the Sustainable Development Summits and conferences, and specifically looking at intergovernmental conferences on environmental education. And of course, with the adoption of the UN Decade for Education for Sustainable Development, 2005 to 2014, strong foundations laid by the Tbilisi Declaration were exemplified, which has recently been further strengthened by the prominence of education in the Rio+20 outcome document. If we look at the most recent developments, I would start with two products of our own work in the United Nations Environment Program. First is the Global Environment Outlook, which contains as one of the recommendations strengthening the environmental education for and raising awareness of sustainability issues as one of the recommendations for future work on the environmental and sustainable development policy. And another product which I would mention is the so-called foresight process of UNEP, the 21 issues for the 21st century, which was a process of a wide consultation with governments, with stakeholders, and the result is that the second most pressing emerging issue, according to all these expert views assembled together, is the transforming of human capabilities for the 21st century, meeting global environmental challenges, and moving towards a green economy. Mr. Tang already presented that education for sustainable development and environmental education is strongly embedded in the outcome document of the Rio+20 conference, The Future We Want, namely in three paragraphs, 230, 231 and 232, that talk inter alia about the need to improve the capacity of education systems to prepare people to pursue sustainable development, to promote programs for non-formal education in accordance with the goals of the UN Decade for Education for Sustainable Development, and to encourage international educational exchanges and partnerships. Here I would only add that one important element of the Rio outcome in the UNEP's perspective, which we believe is closely related with how we can proceed with education for environment and sustainable development, is the institutional framework and the changes that were agreed by the Rio conference, both as regards the sustainable development framework and also the enhancing of UNEP's role, the increase of its budget, the call for more intense delivery of support at the regional and country level, and the upgrade of its governance. We believe that when these provisions of the outcome document come into implementation and are transmitted into decisions of the General Assembly and the Governing Council of UNEP, we will also be able to address our role as UNEP in supporting environmental education and education for sustainable development. Environmental education is also part of our strategic and program documents. If we look at the mission statement of UNEP, it says that the role or the mission is to inspire, inform and enable nations and people to improve their quality of life without compromising that of future generations. If you listen to this mission statement, clearly environmental education is an important component of that. And if we look at the current medium-term strategy that governs the operation of UNEP and the delivery of its program, again, there are several provisions that directly relate in cross-cutting manner to environmental education across the sub-programs that the United Nations Environment Programme is conducting. Some other illustrative examples of what UNEP, together with UNESCO and other partners, is doing. I would mention maybe three elements. Most recently, the Global Universities Partnership on Environment and Sustainability has been launched in the margins of the World Environment Day 2012, prior to Rio+20. And we see a great potential in this global partnership of universities in supporting and strengthening the role of education towards sustainable development. We have been working for many years in the implementation of the Tunza program for children and youth, which has a vision to foster a generation of environmentally conscious citizens who are capable of positive action. And there are various instruments such as the International Youth Conference or the Advisory Council that are running within the framework of the Tunza program. And finally, I would mention the Youth Exchange, which is a joint venture of UNEP and UNESCO that wants to show young people that it is possible to translate the aspirations for a better world into everyday actions by adopting sustainable consumption lifestyles. An important element of recent initiatives is also the special initiative of Eye on Earth, more concretely the Eye on Environmental Education, which is one of the 3 cross-cutting initiatives developed under the Eye on Earth program that was initiated by the United Arab Emirates, and that was very prominent also in the Rio +20 conference, and UNEP has been working together with other partners on the Eye on Earth process. So UNEP's environmental education work seeks to invest in people and institutions for informed response to environmental challenges and opportunities. Environmentally conscious citizens whose lifestyles have a minimal environmental impact, and environmental leaders who have the ability to make the socio-economic system more in harmony with the environment through environmentally friendly products, services, businesses, technologies, and policies. In 1977, the Tbilisi Declaration made far-reaching recommendations that environmental education should be lifelong, integrated, active, and inclusive. The meeting also recognized the complex and multidimensional nature of environmental issues and the need to investigate the root cause of environmental problems. There is now a need to recognize the changes since Tbilisi 1977 and adapt to these changes with a growing sense of urgency. The role of environmental education in providing a strong foundation for the evolution of education for sustainable development needs to be further reaffirmed and strengthened, and we hope that this key message will be coming out of Tbilisi+35 communique. Our transition towards a green economy in the context of poverty alleviation and sustainable development can only flourish when we provide an outstanding environmental education for sustainable development that harmonizes economic prosperity, environmental consciousness, and social well-being at all levels, that then grows in a new generation of scientists, entrepreneurs, and thinkers who come up with the next great idea for the survival of our humanity and the precious planet. So in conclusion, I would like to thank the host country, Georgia, as well as the Secretariat of this conference for the generosity and the hard work that has gone into preparation of this conference. And I would like to wish to all participants of the conference productive deliberations and to pledge UNEP's continued support for the implementation of the outcomes and recommendations of the conference. Thank you very much.